Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your BFF Snowy Oreo 663 here, right now. I'm doing something a little different today. Again, big surprise. I'm ranking all the attractions at Walt Disney World based on my personal preference. I've been going to Disney World since I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, possibly even younger, and I've seen a lot of attractions come and go. I figured that I'd rank them, mostly because I miss going to Disney as often now that I've moved to another state. A few things before we get started. 1. Yes, these attractions change. All of the time. Things get removed, closed, replaced, and new things open. This list won't be accurate forever, but I might update it at some point. 2nd, I will only include attractions from Walt Disney World in Florida, so not from California or one of the other locations around the world. I will not include attractions from Disney Springs, since that's a shopping center, or the water parks, because I've actually never been to the water parks. Water parks never really struck my fancy. I could literally just go to Six Flags and get probably the same experience. So, it'll be only attractions from Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios in Florida. 3rd, I will be including all stage shows, walkthrough attractions, and rides. I won't be including parades, fireworks, games, character meetings, or street shows. I did include Fantasmic, however, since that is basically just a giant stage show. Lastly, I haven't actually experienced every attraction since I'm not insane. But that's okay. I ranked the attractions that I haven't experienced based on how much I would like to. So let's get to that list first. Snowy Oreo 663's never experienced attractions at Walt Disney World based on how much I want to experience them from worst to best. Disney Junior Play and Dance at Hollywood Studios. I may be a Disney adult, but I'm not a Disney Junior adult. Not a fan of seeing Doc McStuffins dance on a stage surrounded by screaming children. Triceratops Spin at Animal Kingdom. One of the many Red Baron attractions at Disney, this one is in a stinky carnival setting with no decorations to look at. Nothing special, I could just go to a pop-up carnival and get the same experience. Mission Space at Epcot. From what I've heard, this ride is just a torture trap. Shoved in a tiny box and shaken violently around, this sounds like a nightmare to claustrophobic me. Only reason it's above Triceratops Spin is that I'd rather die of fright and blunt force trauma than die of boredom. Alien Swirling Saucers at Hollywood Studios. Cool, a teacup attraction. I have severe motion sickness. Not interested, at least it looks cool. For the first time in forever, a Frozen sing-along celebration at Hollywood Studios. That's a mouthful. I actually do like Frozen and its songs, but I'm not really looking for that when I'm at a theme park. Plus, I know the audience would just be a bunch of screaming little girls who will freak out over Elsa. I'll pass. Tomorrowland Speedway at Magic Kingdom. I'm sure it must be very fun to drive around at 8 miles an hour while pumping out disgusting black smoke and making a lot of noise. If you're 5 years old, that is. Pass. Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy at Hollywood Studios. I've never been a fan of the Cars franchise, and this show looks bland and dull from a video recording standpoint. At least the animatronic is cool, and it's inside an air-conditioned building. Astro Orbiter at Magic Kingdom. A Red Baron attraction again, but super high up in the sky with some pretty views. I actually would love to go on this, but I have a chronic fear of elevators. To get up to this ride, you need to go in a giant caged elevator. Hard pass. Plus, the lines for the stinker are always pretty long anyway. Finding Nemo, The Big Blue and Beyond at Animal Kingdom. According to the internet, this is just a less cool version of the original Finding Nemo the musical, which used to be the show there. I've seen that one, and it was decent, too long for my taste, but at least it was creative and air-conditioned. Not really interested if it is somehow less cool. Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run at Hollywood Studios. Looks really cool, but this is mostly due to my motion sickness. I'm not a big fan of motion simulator rides for the most part. There are a few exceptions. Hint, hint. Also, the lines get too long for me to spend my time here. Feathered Friends in Flight at Animal Kingdom. Cool bird show, I guess. Looks decent from the videos I've seen. I just prefer more exciting stuff, so that's why I've never bothered to check it out. Slinky Dog Dash at Hollywood Studios. Pretty cool looking roller coaster with some nice scenery to look at. Just seems a little short and the lines get too long. Maybe I'll ride it if the line is less than 2 hours long. Remy's Ratatouille Adventure at Epcot. Looks really cool, I just wish there were more animatronics instead of screens. Still, I'd ride it if I had the chance. Not what I hoped for when I heard about it, but it's still cool enough. Star Wars Rise of the Resistance at Hollywood Studios. As much as I hate the sequels, this ride looks downright awesome. If it weren't for it constantly breaking down and the lines being actually impossible to get into because of the stupid virtual queues, I'd ride this thing in a heartbeat. Tron Light Cycle Run at Magic Kingdom. While it's not open yet, it's going to be a clone of the one in Shanghai. Looks downright awesome, but the seats look a tad uncomfy. I'd still ride it without a second thought. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at Epcot. I've heard nothing but good things about this ride. I haven't been back to Epcot since it opened, but if I had, I'd wait 5 hours to ride this thing. Only reason it's not at first place is because I'm not a fan of the movie or the characters. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at Hollywood Studios. A great way to replace the outdated Great Movie Ride. I love these Mickey shorts and I can't wait to ride this thing someday. Okay, now that that's out of the way, we can rank the attractions that I've actually experienced. We've got 58 to go, so let's get started. Hall of Presidents at Magic Kingdom. Behold, the most boring goddamn experience of your life. Watch a film that never ends about American history. Get a speech from an animatronic that may have impressed people back in the 60s but looks mediocre as hell now. Then watch as every US president nods their head when their name is called. This show isn't even worth the air conditioning. I'd rather sweat to death in the sun than watch this abysmal experience again. Mad Tea Party at Magic Kingdom. Personal preference here, but I get so sick on teacup rides that I literally cannot do anything else for the rest of the day. If you like these kind of rides, more power to you. I just cannot do it. Liberty Square Riverboat at Magic Kingdom. At least the boat looks cool, that's about it. They removed pretty much all the sites along the river, some because they were racist, but let's ignore that. So it's just a slow barge around this bland-ass lagoon. I don't get sick riding it, to be fair, so at least it's better than teacups. Prince Charming Regal Carousel at Magic Kingdom. It's a carousel. That's literally it. Why would you go to Disney World and spend $100 to ride a carousel? Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor at Magic Kingdom. Mike Wazowski makes puns for 30 minutes. They also pick random people from the crowd to interview in the show, which just turns me into an anxious mess. If they didn't do that, I'd maybe stop by a few more times just for the air conditioning. Dumbo the Flying Elephant at Magic Kingdom. Another boring Red Baron. But this one's over water and has a damn cool queue. That's all. Magic Carpets of Aladdin at Magic Kingdom. Another Red Baron, but this one is also over water and is in a pretty location. Still boring as shit though. Rafiki's Planet Watch at Animal Kingdom. A petting zoo of goats, tiny frogs in cages, a pretty cool looking building that just houses a bathroom in it. The train ride here was more exciting, to be honest. Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress at Magic Kingdom. Catchy song, outdated as hell animatronics, but I guess it's worth it for the air conditioning. I can recite this goddamn show word for word. Muppet Vision 3D at Hollywood Studios. I'm not a big Muppet fan. Never have. It's just a generic 3D film that I could watch on my phone in 2D and virtually get the same experience. It got a laugh out of me, so I guess that counts for something. I don't know. Tom Sawyer Island at Magic Kingdom. Get marooned on an island and explore locales from a book that 99% of children have never read. The caves are the only cool part, sue me. Swiss Family Treehouse at Magic Kingdom. Explore the iconic treehouse from a TV show that 99% of children have never seen. Wait, that sounds familiar. At least it's mostly in the shade and you aren't trapped there until a barge comes to pick you up. Star Tours, The Adventures Continue at Hollywood Studios. I like that this ride is never exactly the same each and every time. There's like 30 different options to what experience you'll get. Then again, it's just a motion simulator ride that gives me a headache. And I'm not a big Star Wars fan. Wildlife Express train at Animal Kingdom. The train that takes you to Rafiki's Planet Watch. I meant it when I said this was more interesting. There's shade, you get to see some behind the scenes stuff of the show buildings. Still, it's just a train ride. Walt Disney World Railroad at Magic Kingdom. The train that loops around Magic Kingdom. It's good for fast travel, and there are some things that you can only see from the train. The one in California is still a million times cooler because there's actual show scenes, but it's not awful or anything. Toy Story Mania at Hollywood Studios. Shoot a ride where you aim at screens. I wish it was more animatronic based considering how cool the queue was. Not awful, but felt relatively cheap. Beauty and the Beast live on stage at Hollywood Studios. 30-minute stage show of Beauty and the Beast. Pretty cool, but it's too long and not indoors. And those giant-ass fans don't do good enough of cooling off the area. If it was indoors, it'd be higher. Voyage of the Little Mermaid at Hollywood Studios. Show that very quickly tells the story of the mermaid. The Ursula puppet is cool, the singing is good, the structure leaves some to be desired. Okay, it literally just shows some puppets playing under the sea. Ariel performs Part of Your World. Ursula shows up, it shows 4 million clips from the movie, then the actors recreate the ending scene. It definitely loses some points for having a grown man crawl around in a dog suit though. At least it's air conditioned. Barnstormer, aka Fly with the Great Goofini at Magic Kingdom. This ride is just a mini roller coaster that lasts about 30 goddamn seconds. Needs a much longer track to be interesting. Also, it was originally called the Barnstormer because it flew through a barn, but then they removed the barn and it's still called the Barnstormer on the park map, but Fly with the Great Goofini if you were physically in the park. What? Living with the Land at Epcot. Slow moving boat ride through farms. The first part is interesting with the animatronics, but it does get boring. I kinda have a soft spot for this ride since I find the environment in the farms relatively relaxing. Could be a bit shorter though. Also, those alligators always scared the hell out of me. Soaring around the world at Epcot. Relatively cool, but feels a bit cartoony for something that's supposed to emulate a real experience. I seriously doubt you're gonna fly that close to a polar bear. I feel like the footage needs to be updated a little bit. Also, the lines are always ridiculously long, and there is nothing exciting to do in the queue. It does get a few points for having Patrick Warburton, though. Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail at Animal Kingdom. Walkthrough that lets you see African animals up close. It could use a bit more theming, but overall, it's just a small walk-through zoo. Decent enough. It's tough to be a bug at Animal Kingdom. For a show housed in the iconic Tree of Life, it's relatively fine. I love Hopper's animatronic and the spiders, as well as the gag at the end with the seats that I won't dare spoil. I admire the updated look of the 3D glasses, which I actually stole one time. I have no regrets. Pretty decent, and it would be higher if it wasn't based on my least favorite Pixar movie. Maharaja Jungle Trek at Animal Kingdom. Themed walkthrough to see some Asian animals. I love the locations here with the crumbling architecture. Plus, you get a really good look at some tigers. Just another walkthrough zoo that I admire. Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios. Hot take. But I hate that most of the show is just staring at projections on water. Also, why is Pocahontas here for so fucking long? I hear that they're updating the show, which I am very excited for. Seems like it could use a little more for being advertised as such a showstopper. At least Maleficent and Jafar look really damn cool. Bonus points for having to leave Ariel on the boat where the fireworks go off. She's gotta cover herself with a fire retardant blanket. Burn, little fishy, burn! Kali River Rapids at Animal Kingdom. An awesome water ride with a not-so-subtle environmental message thrown in. This ride's only downfall is that it's way too short. Just when you think the ride is about to kick it into high gear, it's over. Another minute and it would have been excellent. Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room at Magic Kingdom. Sweet and charming with some nice and catchy ditties. Not too long, not too short, nice atmosphere, nothing quite outstanding either. Only complaint is that the plant song is kinda lame and there's not much to look at while it happens. Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh at Magic Kingdom. For taking down Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, this ride isn't as bad as the internet made it out to be. Super wholesome with some creative visuals, especially in the Heffalumps and Woozle scene. Also, the queue is quite nice. Just remember, it is a kiddie ride through and through. Grand Fiesta Tour starring the Three Caballeros at Epcot. Talk about theming. The outside of this ride is cooler than the inside, no doubt. This ride is basically just sailing through ruins while screens show the trio goofing off in random locations. There's a reference to It's a Small World, and the ending is pretty nice. Just wish the inside compared to the outside. The Seas with Nemo and Friends at Epcot. Pretty cool ride that recreates scenes from the Pixar film. The queue is really cool and sets the mood, and the animatronics are pretty good when they actually have them. Too many screens for it to be any higher. Also, that song that plays at the end is a real earworm. The aquarium after it is pretty cool as well. Mickey's PhilharMagic at Magic Kingdom. A show that has a great use of 4D. You travel back through classic Disney films. They're all Renaissance films except for 2. And dance to their musical numbers. It does need some updates since I don't think it's changed much since it's debuted. Other than the Coco segment, which is damn cool. It really illustrates the only problem with the show. Country Bear Jamboree at Magic Kingdom. Funny animatronic bears perform classic songs. It's relatively funny and enjoyable, and a great escape from the hot outdoors. The clicking of the animatronics on the wall do get pretty annoying, and there's literally no queue, it's just a room. So make sure you get there right before the show starts, or you'll be stuck in a bland, boring room with no chairs for 15 minutes. Spaceship Earth at Epcot. It may have a weird smell, but it's still decent. I find the information that they share quite fascinating, and it's a nice, long ride that lets you escape the heat. Plus, the fact that it is interactive with the screens at the end makes it unique. Journey into Imagination with Figment at Epcot. Hot take and a half! I never rode the original Journey into Imagination or Journey into Your Imagination, so I only know what I've experienced in this incarnation. I find the concept pretty funny, and I like Eric Idle. I don't know, man, it's nowhere near the best ride, but I'm ranking this list on my personal favorites. Got a lot of good memories from this ride and the play area after. Let me have this one, please. Pirates of the Caribbean at Magic Kingdom. Darker Disney attraction with some damn good animatronics and a great atmosphere right from the beginning. For a queue with not much to do or look at, the air is always nice and cool, and the lighting brings you right into this world. Also, I would kill for a bottled version of the scent of that water. I know this ride is actually kind of garbage compared to the Disneyland version, but for what we Floridians have, it's pretty good. Frozen Ever After at Epcot. Maelstrom may have been more culturally correct, and I do kind of resent the corporate Frozen for kicking it out, but this is so much better than Maelstrom as a ride. The queue is lively, the animatronics are downright awesome, and it really feels like a celebration of the film. It's only lower due to my personal dislike of how the situation was handled with Maelstrom, and because the lines for this ride are always completely ridiculous. It's a good ride, but it's not worth a 3-hour wait. Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid at Magic Kingdom. I love the soundtrack from this movie, and that's what this ride hinges on. While the animatronics aren't the best, besides Ursula, she's downright awesome, this ride is still enjoyable to be on. I just close my eyes every time I'm around Ariel, and then vibe out to the soundtrack at every point while I'm on there. It's a Small World at Magic Kingdom. Still nothing compared to the Disneyland version, but the Florida version of this classic ride is still quite good. Yeah, the song gets annoying, some of the dolls are a bit creepy, but it's still an enjoyable experience. It brings me back to that happy place of being a little kid at this park. Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular at Hollywood Studios. I'm a sucker when it comes to movie making, and when the whole show hinges on showing the audience how stunt performers do dangerous scenes, you know I'd be on the edge of my seat. They take people from the audience to participate, they blow up stuff, there's backflips and epic fights, and a twist that I will not spoil. The only issue is that it's outdoors, so it can get quite stuffy under the tarp covering. It's also quite long, but to me that's not a bother. It might be to other people though. Walt Disney Presents at Hollywood Studios. This is kind of a personal preference. I love miniatures, and I'm fascinated by Walt Disney and his works. This walkthrough attraction is just a mini museum of miniatures of the park and some of Walt Disney's personal relics. I fangirl at every stop of this attraction, like at the original Mr. Lincoln animatronic and the model of the castle. Not for everyone, but I'm always eager to revisit. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad at Magic Kingdom. A super fun and fast runaway mine train coaster. This ride may not be as thrilling as other roller coasters, but it makes up for it with its elaborate theming and the best queue of any ride at the Walt Disney World Resort. I love how many references there are in this ride, especially to the original Disneyland version, and so many blink and you'll miss it details. My only issue is a personal one, and that's that the lift hills inside the caves echo to a point that they really hurt my ears, like to the point where I actually need to cover my ears every time I go on this thing. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train at Magic Kingdom. I love the dwarfs so much that it's not even funny. This ride is downright beautiful in the dark ride scenes and pretty fun in the roller coaster segments. When you reach the end scene, you do miss out if you aren't in the very front view cars because you won't actually be able to see inside the cottage. If the lines would shorten up a bit for this one, I would ride it again. The lines never seem to go below 90 minutes at any point during the day. Kilimanjaro Safaris at Animal Kingdom. The closest thing we'll get to a real African safari outside of Africa. This ride is so unique in the way it handles the layout and process of housing these animals. Every time you ride it, it will be different, since the animals will move around during the day. The fact that some of the animals will even walk right in front of your vehicle is insane. I also love that they have such endangered species out for people to see. It can get quite hot on this ride, however, so I wouldn't recommend it for a very hot day. Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin at Magic Kingdom. I just love this thing. Every time I ride it, I have a competition with my dad to see which one of us will get a higher score. You're given a laser gun, a switch to rotate your vehicle, and instructions to shoot the Z targets to get a high score. It's just plain fun. I do wish sometimes the animatronics were a little better, or they removed that stupid tunnel portion. The Jungle Cruise at Magic Kingdom. A charming and relaxing journey through the rivers of the world. I think that while this ride has gone through its fair share of changes, each one makes it better. I don't mind the puns. I really don't. I love the charisma of the skippers, and I love the fake peril we're constantly put in. And I also really like the funny animatronics we run into. This is another nostalgic ride for me. If I had to complain, I'd say that this queue is incredibly boring, and the lines can get a bit long here. This is honestly my least favorite queue of any attraction at the resort. There's literally nothing to look at, and it's always hot as shit in there. Peter Pan's Flight at Magic Kingdom. Super simple, yet really charming. I love how this ride makes you feel as though you're really flying to Neverland with its forced perspective scenes. The updated queue is really nice, and it makes the agonizingly long wait times for this ride a little more bearable. My only complaint is that the ending feels a little lame with that whole pirate ship and Wendy about to jump off the boat. And speaking of Wendy, her animatronics give me nightmares. Please fix that. Thank you. Twilight Zone Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios. For someone who has a chronic fear of elevators, take it from me, I can put it all aside to ride this thing. I love the queue, which truly sets up the scene as you get ready for this experience. I also love how there are different endings and multiple different drop patterns you can get. Instead of being a simple, boring drop tower, Disney truly created something extraordinary that stands out among others. Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith at Hollywood Studios. While I'm not a diehard Aerosmith fan, I love the soundtrack of this ride and the lengths Disney went to make it feel as though you're really stepping through a recording studio that the band would be playing in. I also love the loading station, which looks like an alleyway. Like, really, it looks like an alleyway. For a Disney roller coaster, it's quite extreme. This is the only ride at the resort that goes upside down, and it's mostly in pitch blackness, except for some signs that you fly past. It could be a little longer, but as is, it's great, and I'm bummed to hear about its potential closure. Space Mountain at Magic Kingdom. Speaking of roller coasters in the dark, Space Mountain is just that, but to an even bigger degree. While it may not be as fast or extreme as Rock and Roller Coaster, it is almost entirely in the dark. There's barely any light on this ride, and that also extends to the queue. Every time I go through the Fast Pass lane, I have to use my phone's flashlight to navigate because I literally cannot see the ground. It teases you with fake endings and then plummets you back down into the darkness. The seats are a bit uncomfortable and the lines are ridiculous, but it's still awesome and worth at least one go. Festival of the Lion King at Animal Kingdom, a true celebration of the music and cultures of my favorite movie of all time. This show has amazing costumes, outstanding vocal performances from our 4 hosts, and a sense of wonder that no other show at Walt Disney World can compete with. I've seen Lion King on Broadway, and this is a great way to bring the show to the parks in a shorter form. It's even air-conditioned, and you never feel as though it's too long. I would give some advice to only head to this attraction a few minutes before it starts, since the queue is outdoors and it's not very well shaded. Other than that, it's excellent. Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover at Magic Kingdom. How is it possible that a glorified train tour over a single land can be so great? I love this damn ride. It's not thrilling. It doesn't have a story. There's no animatronics. But goddamn, this ride is awesome. I want a relaxing tour of this futuristic world. I want to see inter-rides from new angles. I want to see part of the model of Progress City made by Disney. It's just a really enjoyable experience with relatively short lines. I guess the part in Space Mountain is a little bit long considering it's literally just pitch black in there. But other than that, perfect. Check it out if you can. Shout out to that one guy who wrote it for 14 hours straight. You're a real one, man. Navi River Journey at Animal Kingdom. Yeah, I'm a fan of Avatar. Please leave all your hate in the comments. Anyway, I love this ride. I think this ride really sells the atmosphere more than others. Most attractions try to sell it in the queue and then do a minimal job on the actual ride. This is the opposite. The queue is actually kind of bland, but as soon as you depart on your boat, you are fully immersed into the world of Pandora. It seems obvious in the videos, but on the actual ride, you cannot tell where the sets end and the screens begin. Don't even get me started on the shaman animatronic. Outstanding. She's huge, by the way. She's taller than people. It is a little short, and I think it's obvious that it was supposed to have a drop in more animatronics, but budgets, I understand. Still awesome. Haunted Mansion at Magic Kingdom. Wait, they're adding the Hatbox Ghost? Well, this one is equal to the Disneyland version now, don't at me. I love the playful spin on haunted houses here. It's not a legit horror experience, instead it's more of a lighthearted take on a creepy place to spend eternity. I love the effects here. It really feels as though you're being transported into a spirit realm. I also really appreciate the queue, and the pre-show with the actual frightening hanging body. If I had to nitpick, I'd say the queue could use a little more to do outside of the one courtyard. Oh, and there's not enough Madame Leota. She's my queen and I worship her. Moving on. Test track at Epcot. How is this hidden gem in Epcot of all places? You literally get to design your own car, test it against multiple different kinds of trials. It's also the fastest ride at any Disney resort in the world. I also find the sets really fun and inventive, not to mention the crazy speeds you reach when flying through the speed test. I guess it is painfully obvious that this ride is sponsored by Chevrolet, since there's literally a show scene of their latest car models after you leave the ride. I think they make up for it in the queue, however, with the elaborate sets on how cars are developed. A tip from me, don't go in the single rider line on this attraction, since you'll be unable to actually design your car, and that's the coolest part of it. Expedition Everest, Legend of the Forbidden Mountain at Animal Kingdom. Yeah, get your Disco Yeti jokes out of the way. Get out of here. Yes, this ride would be 100 times cooler if the Yeti was actually at its full functionality. Then again, even if he isn't moving, the rest of the ride more than makes up for it. You go backwards, take sudden sharp turns, feel as though you're going upside down when you get plunged into a backwards vortex. It's awesome. The queue and set design really sell the idea of this Yeti creature. I'd honestly put the attraction hella high if it was just the queue, but it solidified its place at number 4 just because of the thrill of this coaster. Epic and awesome. Dinosaur at Animal Kingdom. Yes, I hate the film that this ride is based on with a burning passion. Yes, I hate Michael Eisner's cheap-ass decision to make this ride instead of Beastly Kingdom. Yes, I think this ride and its land are the reason why Animal Kingdom will never be as good as Magic Kingdom. Anyway, I fucking love this ride. I was a dinosaur kid, so I love naming all the dinosaurs I could see while on this thing. The atmosphere is really sold inside the attraction, and you feel as though you're in this dense jungle. The animatronics are downright stellar when they aren't bolted to the ceiling. That is, ignore him. The queue is another museum, which I like to see. I guess the pre-show is pretty long and quite annoying, especially since there's no way to skip it. I can recite the damn thing. Avatar Flight of Passage at Animal Kingdom. Now this is how you do a motion simulator. Okay, the video cannot do it justice in the slightest. I guess that's a good place to start. You're seated in this motorcycle-looking seat and then transported to Pandora on the back of a Banshee. I'm serious when I say that there are pads by your feet that simulate the Banshee's breathing. The smells of Pandora are so distinct and otherworldly. You fly across so many locations, dodging dangers while learning to rise to the challenge, or as the Na'vi say, Sivako. The two separate pre-shows the ride has are really annoying and tedious, especially since they literally just repeat the same damn thing twice in a row. Despite that, this ride is well worth the 2 or 3 hour wait that it usually sports. Yes, I mean that. I will gladly wait 3 hours in the hot-ass sun through the mostly empty queue to ride this thing. You should too. Go. Splash Mountain at Magic Kingdom. You know, it's kind of sad that my favorite ride at the entire Walt Disney Resort, no, scratch that. My favorite ride of all time is going to be leaving us so soon. There's a story, there's a great soundtrack, there's animatronics, there's thrill, there's a moral, and there's the memories. This has always been my favorite ride. It probably will still be after its closure. I'm optimistic about its new update, but I still will never forget about the impact this ride had on Little Snow. Here's to you, Princess and the Frog. Don't let me down. Thank you so much for watching my video. If I missed an attraction, it was probably because I've never experienced it before. Leave a comment if you know one I didn't mention. I just got this list off the official Disney Parks website, so blame them, not me. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'm looking forward to heading back to the resort sometime very soon.